Live from Columbia, this is Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network. Be a part of tonight's show. Call us at 800-956-7266 or email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Now, here are your hosts for Sports Talk, Phil Kornbluth, Kevin McCrary, and Tom Hayes.
It's things that I want. It's things that I know this team has to be driven in places and without having a quarterback on site, that's going to be kind of hard. For me, my main focus is trying to bring the Lombardi Trophy to the Carolinas by any means necessary. And with me being selfish enough and thinking about myself, that wasn't going to happen.
Well, the only way the Lombardi Trophy is going to make its way to the Carolinas is if it's in the trunk of one Aaron Rodgers' car as he maybe heads south from Green Bay after getting his hands on the next Lombardi Trophy. This will be what? 50 coming up, right? Mm-hmm. I think it's only appropriate that since Super Bowl I and Super Bowl II, those trophies reside at Lambeau Field, it's only appropriate to complete the circle that the trophy for Super Bowl Lambeau Field as well. And I feel like it will.
There are about 31 teams would disagree with the 30.
That's agree all you want.
By the way, because it's 50, they're going to forego the Roman numerals this time and just use the number 50.
Yeah, I know that.
You feel
how would XXXXX look?
No, that's not 50 anyway. I forgot what 50 is in Roman numerals.
Triple X.
No,
that was Steakman that said that, not me. No, what is the Roman numeral? L. Wait a minute. L is. I wasn't very good in Roman numerology, so anyway.
No, I think it's a D with a line over it, but I'm not sure.
Well, Google it. It's on Google, yeah. I'm sure. All right, welcome into Sports Talk. Beautiful afternoon here in South Carolina. I hope you've had another great day. We thank you for taking time out to be with us here on Sports Talk. Love to hear from you tonight. Wide open for your phone calls. Justin L. I said it was an L. Justin L. That wouldn't look good. You have
for the record, the NFL is ditching the L for this Super Bowl.
That's what I just said.
50 behind.
He said that.
I just said that.
Yeah. You should listen to the show statement. It's a very good show. You might learn something.
Sorry.
855-672. Let's do our phone number in numerals. How would we do that? 800. Any idea how we would do that in Roman numerals? 800-956-7266 is the number. Our email is talkback@sportstalksc.com and on Twitter @sportstalksc. Phil Kornbluth, Professor Tom Hayes with you tonight. What's today? Wednesday? Oh, it's Wednesday. K-Mac is off today. Well, he's got family duty. He's got a little graduation going on in the family, so he's busy attending to that. No news out of Clemson about Jack Leggett. This is Groundhog Day for Clemson baseball. This is exactly how things transpired last year after the baseball season. Remember, it was how many days was it before Dan Radakovich did he even announce that Jack Leggett would be back, or they just didn't say anything and it was just
I think white smoke came out from the chimney.
It's very quiet, just like it was this time last year. No news as far as we know. And we'll open up the phone lines here, what you are thinking about here on Sports Talk. It is truly your show tonight here on Sports Talk. Call us lazy. Call it summertime, whatever you want to call it. It is your show. Nothing is scheduled for tonight. So we are open for your calls. Love to hear what you are thinking about amongst all the things that we've been talking about. And, of course, we can always get into football conversation looking ahead to the upcoming season. 800-956-7266 is our phone number. Email talkback@sportstalksc.com. On Twitter, it's @sportstalksc. Make sure you sign up for our Twitter timeline to keep up with us on Twitter. The website is sportstalksc.com, where you can vote for the State Player of the Year in college baseball. That is our question of the week, our poll question of the week. Who is the Player of the Year in college baseball in South Carolina? And here we are at midweek. The leader remains Kyle Martin from South Carolina. He's got 51% of the votes to 21% of the votes for Clemson left-hander Matthew Crownover. And Taylor Clark from the College of Charleston, the right-hander, is third at just under 20%. So if you haven't voted, make sure you take time out to do that. And on Facebook, we are at Sports Talk Radio Network. Want to say thank you to Johnny Roscoe, longtime football coach in our state at Hartsville and at Lancaster, currently head coach at Western Guilford High School outside of Greensboro for a second time, where he's already won, I think he's won 4 state championships at Western. That's the home of C.J. Freeman, who is headed to USC, and also had a running back come out of there a couple of years ago who's now at North Carolina. You'll see him, the Gamecocks will, in Charlotte. He's very fast. His name escapes me. But anyway, Johnny put on an event today in Lancaster at the Founders Federal Credit Union corporate office, which, by the way, is just beautiful. It's called Founding Leadership. And he had several people in to talk about, to visit with college football GAs and some high school football coaches to talk about various things. I was there to talk about the media and coaches dealing with the media. So thanks to Johnny Roscoe for that, and also Bruce Brumfeld, the CEO of Founders, who was there. The besides my lecture, which of course was greeted with at the end with a standing ovation. Calls. Yeah. The highlight was Dabo Sweeney, who came in via a video conference. He couldn't be there in person because his youngest son was graduating from the 5th grade. So he was back home for that. But he joined us for an extended period of time. And he was, I tell you what, you listen to Dabo and he just sucks you in. He does such a great job of selling Clemson and selling himself. The purpose of his comments, he was asked to talk about the keys to his success, the keys to being a head football coach, and doing what he has done. And he went into the history of how he became the coach at Clemson, what was going on behind closed doors. Did you know this? I think I can say this. I don't think any of this is top secret information. But he did say this is the first time that he's ever said this, or nobody knows this. But he said, I'm not quoting you directly, but he said 2 days after he took the job, he quit at Clemson. That's what he said. He said 2 days after he took the job, I don't know if he physically went to Terry Don Phillips and said, I quit, or in his mind he said, I quit, can't do this. This is what he told this group. Obviously, he didn't leave the job because he's still there 6.5 years later. But he talked about Terry Don Phillips calling him in the office and said, you're not the interim coach. You are the coach. Treat this as if you are the coach and go win some football games, and let's go from there. And he talked about his various I guess you would call it an organizational pyramid, and the way he runs things in his office and the things he asks of his assistant coaches and his auxiliary personnel, secretaries, GAs, weight training staff, food staff, everything associated with his program, he has his hands on. And he has an idea about what everybody in his organization is doing and should be doing at any particular time. He also talked about the perception of the program and protecting protecting the image of the program, which is something he says he's doing now. And this is part of what he does now is make sure that Clemson image is a good image, and he protects that. And he talked about the family aspect of things and building relationships with your coaches and having coaches around you that you can trust, who are loyal to you, who are like family, and who can do the job. And he went on and on, as Dabo does, but it was very interesting and telling about Dabo Swinney as a CEO of the Clemson football program. Not so much about X's and O's, because I think he realized it wasn't going to be about X's and O's so much with him as it was going to be about leadership.
Well,
Talk for a minute.
Well, I was just thinking that probably one of the things he probably said that you left out, or he should have said, is he hired the right people, because he surrounded.
Well, he did say that.
Well, yeah, that's what I was saying. And
he talked about the concept of all in.
Here's the problem. Here's the one thing I will question, though. If you hire the right people, you don't need your finger on everything. Because there's a danger involved with a person who has loyalty with a staff versus a person who's a micromanager.
Well, when I say micromanager, I don't know about that. I think that obviously he left Chad Morris to run the offense, and he lets Brett Venables run the defense.
Chad Morris would have it no other way.
Despite that, I think that depends on everything. I mean, he's involved in every aspect of the program, from on the field to off the field. So it was a very, very enlightening talk that he gave, and everybody there enjoyed it, so including yours truly. It was overshadowed only by my comments that came after lunch. So that was good. Everybody had a nice lunch. There are a few people dozed off in the back.
And hopefully it was digested before you spoke. And
I heard some stomach from the noise, some noise from the stomachs back there. Very quickly, a couple of notes. The freshman All-American team announced today Clemson outfielder Reed Roman, one of 5 in-state players named to the Louisville Slugger freshman All-American team. 2 from the College of Charleston, pitcher Carter Love, and outfielder Ryan Brown, Coastal Carolina pitcher Bobby Holmes, and upstate catcher Charlie Carpenter round out the players on the freshman All-American team. Let's jump to some phone calls early here, because tonight it is wide open for you here on Sports Talk. And we're going where first? TB. And TB beware. Tiger Bryan. Tiger Bryan up in Lancaster. I was right in your neck of the woods. Tiger Bryan listening to us on 107.1 out of Rock Hill, Lancaster. How you doing, TB?
Yeah, you met a fine man today with Johnny Roscoe. I used to work on his air conditioning. He's at Lancaster here, coach.
Yeah.
He's a fine man.
Actually, he mentioned to me today, I'm funny you should say that, because he mentioned to me just how cool his house always is in the summer.
Oh, yeah. But he's got one of his former players, Coach Strickland, is our athletic director up here. He played ball in Hartsville for Johnny Roscoe. And old Johnny, I can tell you some stories about him. He's a fine man. And, man, if I know you've been up here, Bo, I'd bought you supper. I know Mr. Bunsfield. I know him personally, too. I know he fed you good over there.
Oh, you know where the food came from?
I ain't got a clue who they use. They spread the love around. You know what I mean?
I'll tell you where it came from. It came from the Wagon Wheel in Fort Lawn.
Oh yeah, my son had graduated Clemson. He's an engineer in Greenville now. He worked there. When he started driving, he bust tables over there for 2.5 years. And Mr. Bill over there, every time my boy Tyler comes to Lancaster, he gets a free meal. He stops there and gets a free meal before he gets to Lancaster.
It was delicious. I'll tell you that. I'm going to go back to the Wagon Wheel next time I'm in Fort Lawn. Do you realize how many great athletes have come out of the Fort Lawn area? Sheldon Brown, Brian Williams, Wesley McFadden, Mike Barr. All these guys went to Louisville.
The Wagon Wheel.
And probably ate the Wagon Wheel. Back in a moment. right, the Braves are in action as we speak this afternoon. They just gave up a 3 spot to Arizona. Braves lost last night 7-6, and right now they are trailing 8-7 in the top of the 8th inning out at Arizona. Other afternoon baseball. Got some great news for you, ladies and gentlemen. Great news. The Yankees beat Seattle 3-1 to sweep that series, to go 4 games over 500. I know this makes your day a heck of a lot better. Brad Miller, the former Clemson star, had a triple in that game. Mark Teixeira, another home run for the Yankees at 16 for him. The bad news is the Red Sox did win today 6-3, but they still are 5 games under 500 in last place where they belong. St. Louis beat Milwaukee 7-4. That is it for afternoon baseball. Congratulations to LSU. They win the Golf National Championship with a 4-1 win over Southern Cal. 2 of the matches were 1-1 a second one was 2-1. 3 were 1-up. A second was 2-1, and a third was 3-2. So LSU wins the men's golf national championship. And the trial date for Micah Rogers, accused of vandalizing Howard's Rock, has been set for July 20th. Charged with grand larceny, malicious injury to property of more than $10,000, could face up to 20 years in jail. Imagine if he goes to prison for 20 years. He's in the jailhouse and his fellow prisoners, in there for various things, murder, rape, whatever. What'd you do, boy? I chipped a rock. I got 20 years. Well, what he ought to do is put him, give him 20 years of hard labor of breaking up rocks.
Well, see, that's what I was about to say.
He already has
a practice.
He has a gift for it. Back to the phones we go. Presuming that he's guilty, of course. He had the presumption of innocence remains in place. Mm-hmm. Richard down in Charleston listening to us on the Barbie Harton station, 98.9 FM. Hello, Richard. How are you?
Good. How you doing, Phil?
Doing great.
Yeah, just was listening to Bobby right before you, actually.
Great lead in.
Yeah. Question, actually, since we're bringing up Bobby Hart. Who are you a fan of, exactly? I know you pride yourself on being a great journalist, and usually journalists are pretty neutral.
You mean in terms, do I have favorite teams?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
I know you're a Yankees fan, I can tell.
Yeah, Yankees, Packers, Celtics are my
I will say this.
Are my 3 professional
I will say
teams.
This. With Phil, you don't even have to look. Look who was winning championships in the 60s.
That over the years.
And those are the guys. A front runner.
That's such a cop-out.
Front runner.
Those are my teams. I've been with them my entire life.
He also roots for Microsoft as well.
Mm-hmm. I've always pulled for the U.S. in every war. Call me a front runner for that. Secretariat was my favorite horse. Richard Petty, my favorite driver. Cassius Clay, back in the day, was my favorite boxer. Arnold Palmer was my favorite golfer. You see a trend there? Hang on. We'll come back to you in a moment.
Front runner.
And we're back, 800-956-7266, our phone number here on Sports Talk. We will have, I think I lied to you when I said we were wide open with nothing planned. We will have some comments from Cam Newton for you from his press conference. I guess it was late yesterday, maybe last night or late yesterday afternoon after the word came out of his new contract, his new extension, 5 years, $103 million in Charlotte, who vows to bring the Lombardi Trophy to Charlotte at some point in time. We shall see about that.
Well, here's the deal about the Lombardi Trophy and Cam Newton. If the Panthers don't get him an offensive line and some receivers to throw to, I mean, what's the deal? I mean, you're paying all this money to the quarterback. Now, people say, yeah, but you have to start with the quarterback, and now they got a line of demarcation. They paid the quarterback. Now they can have some be interesting to see how they deal with this. But he can't run forever. And we remember the last 2 years, he's taken some beatings coming out of that pocket. He's gained some yards, but they made him feel it once he came out of there. So it'll be interesting to see what happens on the offensive line this year and if they upgrade the wide receiver core.
All right, 800-956-7266. We're wide open for your phone calls. Updating the Braves, bottom of the eighth. It's still the Diamondbacks up 8-7. Back to Richard, who was with us at the break from Charleston. Okay, Richard, back with us on the air. Go ahead.
All right, I just want to talk about yesterday. I missed yesterday, and I want to talk about Clemson's defense, which I think will be good. I think it'll be better than South Carolina's defense last year, just because we do have some people that played. We do have some snaps. We are inexperienced behind that, but we do have talent. I just wanted to say you do a great job. I see you on independentmail.com. So you're doing a great job on there, too.
Well, thank you very much. Talking about Clemson's defense, there are some unfamiliar names on that defense that will have to step up and play. Now, they could become names that are very familiar to people in time. Guys like Albert Huggins and Sterling Johnson. I mean, these were big names in the high school ranks last year. These were all standout high school players, Shrine Bowlers, etc. Chris Register from North Carolina. But they haven't played a lick of college football yet. And, it's a big, big question mark, a big transition. And they open up against a Wofford team that the way they run their option, the things that happen along the line of scrimmage, trying to defense that option, and playing some young guys. I'm not saying Wofford's going to go in there and beat Clemson by any, but the last time they went in there, they made the Tigers sweat a little bit. They made Georgia Tech really sweat last year. They had South Carolina on the ropes a few years ago, a bounce here, a bounce there. Who knows what might have happened. And with this kind of a young defense, not talking about the top 11, though at linebacker, the Tigers have some guys who will be stepping up to play, who have played some. B.J. Goodson's played a pretty good bit. Ben Boulware's played a pretty good bit. Dorian O'Daniel's played some, but Kendall Joseph is new. Corey Rogers is new. Chad Smith. Jalen, inexperienced linebackers. Travis Blanks returns, but he's coming off a knee injury, and he hadn't played in 2 years. He's had the knee. He's had I think it was Achilles or lower ankle. He's been hampered by injuries. Kevin Dodd is going to be playing really for the first time extensively. He'll start out at one defensive end first time. He's had a chance to really play a lot. Now, Carlos Watkins, he's coming back off his injuries from that car accident. So he hasn't played a lot recently. You have DJ Reader at nose. How much of a drop-off is it from Grady Jarrett to DJ Reader? Reader's a good player, but is he Grady Jarrett? Those are big shoes to fill. I mean, the one guy there that I've player is Shaq Lawson. I think Shaq Lawson can have a great year unless he's double-teamed a lot, unless teams run away from him, whatever the case may be. He has the physical stature and I think the speed and the talent to have a great year at bandit defensive end. I wonder about some of the rest. This is why, after looking at it a little more closely and reflecting on what South Carolina did last year, the way they backed up on defense with so many new faces and young guys on defense, it makes a difference. It does make a difference when you lose. South Carolina lost, 4 or 5 defensive players from the 2013 team to the NFL, and it makes a difference. Clemson is losing, 8 or 9 off their defense to the NFL in some form or fashion. Yeah. It makes a difference.
Well, the thing about –
and to think otherwise, I think we're kind of fooling ourselves.
The thing about it is, if you got a picture of that Clemson defense, hang it up, because I'm not certain you're going to see as many senior leaders hang on and play their senior years on defense as you had at Clemson. They had some tremendous senior leadership on that defense. On the plus side for these guys at Clemson, they will have the same system. What happened in South Carolina last year was a train wreck, because not only did you have guys with inexperience playing, but you tried to change the system on the run. Mm-hmm. So even the guys returning you had couldn't explain to the youngsters where they were supposed to be, because they didn't know where they were supposed to be. So it got mixed up there. But at least Clemson retains the same system, and probably you won't see as much of a drop-off because they're retaining that same system.
I'll give you that. I mean, they didn't switch all that stuff around. So I'll give you that. But how much will their defense back up? Now, that might be overshadowed by an offense that should be extremely this should be an offense that averages 35 points a game easily, with that slew of running backs and receivers, a pretty good offensive line. The one question I have about their offensive line would be Joe Gore at the tackle spot. How well does he hold up? Because he's been injury prone. He's had the knee. How well is he going to hold up? The backup is a true freshman, Fru Morgan. I feel good about McLean and Crowder at the guards. They're solid at center with Norton. It looks like Guillermo is coming back to school later on this summer. Whatever issues he had, those have been worked out. Battle on the other side, an offensive tackle. He's solid at tight end. I look for maybe Jordan Leggett to have a big year. I don't see why this offense won't roll along at 35 plus points per game, and that will make up for a lot of deficiencies on defense.
Well, the key point is also the decisions you have to make as far as what your defense is doing, because I know Clemson loves a quick strike, but if you have the ability to run the ball down someone's throat and keep maybe an inexperienced defense off the field, do it sometimes. You get maybe a 10 to 2 touchdown lead, and you're in the fourth quarter, and instead of throwing that bomb you see that's wide open, why not just run it down their throats and run out the clock? It'd be interesting to see how they handle that, because they've been quick strike for so long, because they had such a defense that no matter where the ball was left on the field, you could leave it at the 5-yard line, and the defense may hold the team to a field goal. But this defense is a little bit different, and maybe you want to kind of get them off the field for a while.
Yeah, possibly so. Of course, how long did it take them to score their first touchdown? Their new coordinators in the bowl game. What was it? Second play, third play against Oklahoma. They're in the end zone. I mean, Clemson. Well, I tell you, you go back over the last. We'll go back through the Chad Morris era, and I'm not sure there's any team in the country that had more quick strike touchdowns in the first 5 plays of a game than Clemson did. It was amazing. 2 years ago when Sammy Watkins was a senior, I mean, think about it. Boston College, I think, Duke, they scored within a couple of years, a couple of plays. There were some other games too where they just, before you got in your seat comfortably, Clemson was on the scoreboard. We'll be right back. More sports talk in a moment. All right, before we get to the Braves report, Sammy Watkins, yes, I know he was never a senior. It was his junior year, but the same thought. It was his last year at Clemson that he caught that early touchdown pass against Duke. All right, to our Braves report now, starring Mike Morgan, who also was never a senior because he flunked out of college. Mike Morgan, brought to you by Play It Again Sports off Bower Parkway in Columbia, where you'll pay less for more. By Founders Federal Credit Union, helping South Carolinians attain their financial goals. And by Mattress by Appointment. Real simple. You call when you save 50 to 80% on premium mattress sets. Call 803-530-8549. And now a man who was never named valedictorian of his high school. Mike Morgan, Braves pitching, relief pitching, on fire the wrong way.
Yeah, gasoline on a fire. That's what it's been for much of the year. I don't know what Chinese water torture feels like. I'm guessing it's something like the 7th and 8th innings of this game. This has been the problem all season long. You know, the bullpen ERA came in hovering just under 5. It's probably over 5 after this monstrosity. They just don't have guys that can get outs. Jim Johnson imploded the moment he got out there and then made a critical throwing error. Cody Martin couldn't get the job. It just seems every time they throw a guy out there, they have no answers. And it's unfortunate because you're wasting some good starting pitching performances and you're costing your team a lot of games. But this is not a Freddie Gonzalez issue. This is we don't have anybody that can get people out on a consistent basis issue. And that's the case right now as the Braves are in trouble of squandering away a game they really should have won.
Yeah, Braves were up on this one. It was 6-0 going to the bottom of the second, and Diamondbacks have just chipped away, and they lead 9-7 going to the ninth. Offensively, Freddie Freeman continues to do his thing. Couple of hits, 4 RBIs. May have been a good day, 3 hits and 2 RBIs. Yeah,
Freddie Freeman is such a good player that we talked about last year, and he loves hitting in this ballpark. It seems like every time these teams meet in Arizona, there's at least 2 games in the series that resemble this, where it's complete offense, very little dominating pitching, and a whole lot of runs. And Freddie Freeman has been the benefactor of that. 2 more bombs today. He's locked in right now. And you mentioned Maben. He's done a good job. I mean, they're getting contributions offensively. Again, that's another reason why it would be frustrating to lose this game, because a lot of things went well. Fultonevich was not terrible. I mean, he gave you enough to where you could have won this game, particularly with the offense that you got. But again, if the Braves lose this, it'll be yet another chapter in how bad the bullpen has been this season.
Well, it's interesting. It almost looks like is the travails of a 500 team. You go into San Francisco red hot, you lose 2, then you win the last 2, 1 in dramatic fashion, and then you go into an environment where you think you got a chance to win and you stumble. It almost seems that you look at any 500 team, you almost can tell that that's what happens from time to time.
Well, yeah, I mean, typically if you're a 500 team, you've got some holes on your team, unless you're just a terrible underachiever, and that happens in baseball, and great overachieving happens in baseball. We've seen it. If you look over the last 10 postseasons, we've seen some teams that have low payrolls that aren't the most talented, but they have flourished. And we've seen some incredibly high payrolls that have just been busted by bad chemistry or whatever the case may be. This is just a case. There's nothing wrong with the chemistry, the attitudes, the egos, or anything else. And I think the second most frustrating way to lose a game, only behind just terrible defense, which that's really not applicable here. The second most frustrating way to lose games is with a bad bullpen, because you do everything that you need to get a lead, and you're used to winning games like that. The Braves bullpen over the last 5 years has been in really the top 3 to 5 in Major League Baseball. That's just not going to be the case this year, and I don't think it's going to be rectified with one move this season. I think this is something this team's going to have to battle through and labor through all season long.
Well, I got to ask you this question. Since you've done the college playoff, Florida State, either of those teams, I know you did Florida, do they look like they finally have the chance to win it, or who do you think is going to come out of the Super Regionals?
I think Florida's the most talented team in college baseball. I think LSU is not far behind. And quite frankly, I had Florida State this year early in the season. I had them in a Super 2 years ago. I'm pretty familiar with what they've got. Florida should win that at home. It's a rivalry, so you never know, but they should win it. I think Florida's most talented team going into the Supers.
Oh, all right, Mike. Thank you very much. We appreciate that. Yeah, Florida. I mean, very, very talented. Every aspect of the game, from coaching all the way through that lineup. And he could be right about that. Thank you, Mike. Our Braves report with Mike Morgan here on Sports Talk. Braves going to the 9th inning in Arizona, and they are trailing 9-7 with 1 out. We'll be right back with recruiting. All right, to the recruiting report tonight. Newberry quarterback Yafari Wirtz. Got to have the best name in high school football in South Carolina. Yafari Wirtz. Meet my daughter, Safari. Yafari and Safari. Yafari Wirtz. He committed to Georgia Southern Tuesday night. He drew interest from Clemson, USC, Georgia Tech. But none other, however, they like him as a future quarterback. He jumped on that opportunity, thinks he's got a chance to go in redshirt and then maybe be a 4-year starter. Thinks Georgia Southern's got a chance to do some great things in the years ahead, and he was tired of waiting on the big schools to offer him. So he jumped on Georgia Southern, and he says he's done. USC linebacker target Aaron Hansford of Washington was offered last night by Notre Dame. Notre Dame has also offered, here in our state, defensive back Troy Pride from Greer, who is a Virginia Tech commitment. Linebacker Kenneth Huff of Fort Lauderdale had planned to release the top 10 June 1st, but an influx of new interest, he's delayed the release until July 4th, which is a Saturday. And, of course, we'll cover that on our holiday when that is released. Michigan State and Florida State are two new teams showing interest here. He plans to camp at Florida State June 9th. USC remains his favorite. He will attend the showcase camp there. He's been talking a lot with the Gamecock defensive staff. A commitment is a possibility at the camp. Fort Dorchester offensive lineman John Simpson, who camped at Alabama this week and is on his way back to Charleston, was invited to the U.S. Army All-American game. Linebacker T.J. Brunson of Richland Northeast plans summer visits to Louisville, Kentucky, and Michigan. 2017 offensive lineman Tony Gray of Lawrenceville, Georgia, was at Clemson today. Defensive end Mark Nichols of Dixie will camp at Appalachian State June 6th. Marshall, June 16th. Thundering Herd showing a lot of interest. He'll camp at Coastal July 18th. Georgia Southern July 24th. USC July 25th. Athlete Devontae Turner, Lake City, is getting interest from South Carolina State and Appalachian State. Offensive lineman Brett Heggie, Mount Dora, Florida, added Florida, Mississippi State, Louisville, and Miami to his offer list this spring. Earlier offers were USC, Central Florida, NC State, Cincinnati, West Virginia, Indiana, Iowa State, Appalachian State. He was at USC for the spring game, his only visit of the spring. He's going to a team camp at Central Florida Saturday, also going to Mississippi State and West Virginia for unofficial visits, and he's looking at a possible visit to USC later this summer. Also talking to Oklahoma about a possible visit. USC recruiters Sands and Elliott were through this spring and been in regular touch with him. Right now, several schools stand out: USC, Central Florida, Miami, Florida, Louisville, Mississippi State, NC State, Cincinnati, and West Virginia. He does say he likes South Carolina a lot at this particular time. There you go with recruiting. It's the top of the hour break, and we'll be back.
from Columbia, this is Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network. Be a part of tonight's show. Call us at 800-956-7266 or email talkback@sportstalksc.com. Now, here are your hosts for Sports Talk, Phil Kornbluth, Kevin McCrary, and Tom Hayes.
And we're back, Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network from Main Street, downtown Columbia. Sports Talk show of Main Street, South Carolina. Good to have you with us. 800-956-7266 is the phone number. It's gone final in Phoenix, and the Braves did score a run in the ninth, but not enough.
Brzezinski homered in the ninth.
And they lose it 9-8. Johnson takes a loss to fall to 1-3. And the Braves see their record dip under 500 once again at 26-27. So a disappointing end to their stay in Phoenix. Pittsburgh beat San Francisco 6-2, make that 5-2. Pirates over the Giants. And earlier scores today, it was the Yankees over Seattle 3-1. St. Louis beat Milwaukee 7-4. And Boston topped Minnesota 6-3. Lines are open, 800-956-7266 is the phone number. Talking some football with you. Is there indeed a situation at Clemson with Clemson baseball? Because we've heard nothing since the end of the season. Dan Radakovich was quoted as saying late in the year that there would be a quick decision one way or the other about the future of Jack Leggett as the baseball coach. Here we are now, season ended for the Tigers on Saturday. Give them the benefit of traveling back to Clemson on Sunday. It gives you Monday, Tuesday, now Wednesday's in the books, 3 days down, and no public resolution about what's going to happen with the future of the head coach of Clemson baseball.
Well, I'm trying to feel my way through this, and I'm looking at the affirmative end that the more we don't hear, I think in my opinion, it looks better for Jack. Because if he said he's going to do it quickly, you may have told him, pick up the phone. Jack, if you want to spend a few days in Southern California, by all means, you can do that because we're going to get rid of it. Now, I know I'm being sarcastic, but, some coaches have had, the plane hadn't even heated up and we've heard that they've been let go. So I think that it's thought that availability has a lot to what an AD does as far as making the decision is concerned. And what is the problems if you get rid of a Hall of Fame coach? What does that look like for the program and what your demands are? Well, so I'm looking at maybe they decide on the length of the contract extension.
So what do you ask? Let's just say there's a change. What do you ask of the incoming coach? What's the goal? Get us to the NCAA tournament with regularity.
You're saying it's Omaha.
Well, you can't expect a coach to get you to Omaha every year.
Jack has gotten you into the postseason every year.
Well, that's what I'm saying. What can you expect of the new guy that's not already being delivered? All right, I went back and looked. Last year, it was 10 days before we heard anything about Jack Leggett's future at Clemson after the Tigers lost on May 31st in Game 2 of the regional in Nashville. It was on June 10th when they announced that he would be back for another season. And so here we are now. This is Wednesday, so they played on Saturday. So we're Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We're 4 days since the last game. Not saying they're going to stick to that same schedule, but last year it was 10 days before we heard anything. 800-956-7266, the phone number. Lines are open if you'd like to join us here on the program. We'll hear from Cam Newton, some thoughts from him about his very, very rich new contract with the Panthers coming up. USC Aiken is looking for a new basketball coach. After 10 seasons, their coach is leaving for a job at the St. Leo University in Florida. And that coach is, I don't have his name. It's Vince Alexander. We knew that. Vince Alexander is leaving USC Aiken to become the head coach at St. Leo University in St. Leo, Florida. Alexander is the all-time wins leader at Aiken, took the Pacers to the Division II Elite Eight twice, and to the Final Four in 2013-14, has an overall record of 196 and 113 at USC Aiken. He's moving to another Division II program, St. Leo, which competes in the Sunshine State Conference. So there you go. Coaching job is open in our state. USC announced today the annual, I guess it's what's twice a year? Semi-annual?
Biennial.
Biennial or semi-annual?
No, biennial. Two.
No, that'd be every 2 years, wouldn't it?
Yeah, you didn't that what you said?
No, I said twice in the same year. Semi-annual.
No, semi-annual.
Yeah,
semi-annual.
Called him on something. Semi-annual grade report. You have your winter report and your spring report. Semi-annual.
Well, that'd be your semester report, wouldn't it? They're on the semester system.
Yeah, you could call it that.
Okay, well, why would you say it's semi-annual?
I prefer semi-annual. Because
it's a semester grade report.
I like semi-annual.
Fall semester grade report.
Makes
spring
me sound
semester.
smarter to say semi-annual. Anyway, everybody did pretty well. Interesting that baseball.
So what would you call the summer grade report? Because
there is no summer grade report.
Yeah, they have grades.
They don't report it. They only release grades in the winter and the spring. Thus, it's semi-annual.
That would affect their GPA.
Anyway, baseball had a very good spring. That's probably why they didn't have a good spring on the field. They were too busy studying. 3.028. The only sport at USC, two sports at USC failed to eclipse a 3.0. Can you name those two sports?
Football would be one.
Ding, ding, ding. But they were close, 2.938.
But that's the highest I think they've ever had, 2.93.
Yeah, and the other one would be? This would be the lowest.
I think the horses
GPA.
in the equestrian team. The horses on the equestrian team.
No, actually, equestrian pulled a 3.46.
I'm talking about the horses.
They weren't horsing around in the classroom. You like that, huh?
Let's see.
Men's
swimming. I started to say men's
swimming. Men's swimming. Come on.
No, I'm just kidding.
Men's track and field, 2.918.
Okay.
But that will change. Curtis Fry's getting himself a new facility over there. So things are going to be upgraded. But that's not bad, 2.918.
No,
Listen, you got everybody around a 3.0. That's pretty good. So a good year, good semester for USC academically. And they had a pretty good semester on the athletic field as well. You know, baseball didn't make the NCAA tournament, but golf did extremely well. Men's and women's golf did extremely well. I think the tennis teams made the tournament. And I'm not counting basketball as a spring sport, even though they play into the spring. Don't really count them as a spring sport. So a lot to feel good about from that standpoint over at South Carolina. They continue to do a good job in terms of the academic part of things over there. And let's see what else we have for you. That's pretty much it on the news front. 800-956-7266. Phone number here on Sports Talk. Email talkback@sportstalksc.com. And the website is sportstalksc.com. And on Twitter at SportsTalkSC. I'll check out the Twitter feed for some comments there. I had our poll question, which I retweeted, Player of the Year in college baseball in South Carolina. Brandon tweets in that it should be Kyle Martin of South Carolina. Jim Baxter, our old buddy from SCVarsity.com, he says Chase Shelton of Charleston Southern should be the guy, the Player of the Year in South Carolina. Let's see who else has written anything interesting here on Twitter.
Nobody said Hanover should get it.
Oh yeah. Others have said that. Yeah, but I mean, you don't have to. You don't have to tweet. You can vote.
Right,
you know. Taylor Jack asks if we still hate Curry having Riley at his interviews. Yeah, I mean, I do personally. That's my thing. That's just I think it should be a professional setting. I don't think we need to have children, wives, girlfriends, sons. I don't think they should be there in that setting.
Well, it's interesting that we've seen Riley, but the only time they actually show his wife is when she's with his mother, because his mother is the one that's demonstrative in the stands, where his wife just kind of sits there.
Yeah. So. All right, back to the phones we go. 800-956-7266 is our phone number. We go to Reggie in Ladson, listening to us on 98.9 down in Charleston. Reggie, how are you? Welcome into Sports Talk.
Pretty good. How you doing?
Doing fine.
All right, I was going to talk a little bit about football, but when you're talking about Steph Curry's wife, maybe you don't see her much because she's about to deliver in next month or August, I believe.
Oh, I didn't know that. I'm sorry, I don't keep up with the baby making activities of Steph Curry.
So they'll have two people on the set when they go to the finals next year. Maybe.
But quick question. Do you think the spread offense in high school and becoming more and more prevalent in college is affecting the pro game? That's why we're seeing players like Cam Newton and other quarterbacks who normally wouldn't get a big contract like that. But now it's just a lack of quality quarterbacks coming out of the college game. So you think that spread offense is affecting the NFL?
So you're talking about system quarterbacks in comparison to purely talented quarterbacks.
Correct.
System quarterbacks that run the spread and roll up these big numbers, but you put them under center, you put them in a real offense, so to speak. They can't do anything. The spread, the 7-on-7 stuff that goes on. I hear a lot of football people complaining about that. They see football becoming more like basketball in cleats, with nothing but throwing and catching. The physical nature of the game being diminished some because of that. You're not lining up and playing physical football. Teams facing third and short, lining up in a spread, and the theory being that they're spreading out the defense, and maybe they hit you underneath with the run. More often than not, they're going to try and beat you with the pass instead of just trying to line up and be physical. I mean, it's a different style of football. Is it hurting the development of quarterbacks? I mean, you get good athletes at quarterback. As far as them emerging as NFL-level quarterbacks, I mean, the NFL is not wed to the spread offense right now, by and large. There's a couple of pocket areas of it. But the feeling is the NFL is never going to take on, in fact, or catch on in a widespread manner. In fact, they feel like the running game is coming back in the NFL, including the play of the fullback for many teams. We'll continue with this in a moment. Hang on. All right, getting back to the question of the moment from our caller about the spread offense. And his question was basically all this spread offense at the lower levels, is it retarding the development of quarterbacks from an NFL standpoint? That's basically what he is asking.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's got to be. I mean, because the NFL, I mean, look at Johnny Manziel. I mean, what kind of NFL quarterback, if he ever gets a chance, is he going to be? Apparently at this point, you'd have to say not a very good one. I mean, already the reports coming out of the OTCs there are that he stinks. He can't do it. He can't get under center, and he can't run the offense. I'm not saying that's the case for all. Obviously, Cam Newton is proving to be a success of a guy that ran nothing but a spread offense in college, and I don't think he ever got under center. Did he ever get under center at Auburn?
No.
It's turning out pretty well for him.
Quarterback sneak.
Yeah, so there's some exceptions to the rule, but by and large, you bring up a good point, is all this 7-on-7 stuff and affecting the development of quarterbacks.
I will say this. It also exposes if you're going to –
it makes all quarterbacks look like Jay Cutler, if you ask me.
No, what I'm saying is
I say that because State Man won't say something. It
also exposes a guy's learning curve. For instance, if you look at a Russell Wilson, he went from NC State and not only took over in that interim when he transferred Wisconsin program, but became a captain because he learned the offense so well. The guy said, so he's more mature.
He didn't run a spread offense at NC State.
No, but I'm saying it was a different type of offense in Wisconsin than it was in NC State. But he mastered that offense. Then he went to Seattle, and they said, you know what, this guy's kind of short, but you know what, this guy can master anything. So what does Seattle do? They run remnants of a pro offense, but also give him the opportunity to run out of the spread because he. So
lucky.
Lucky
throwback 2-point conversion.
Here's the other problem.
Lucky. It was lucky.
Here's the one problem I will say: the spread offense.
Knock it down. Knock it down.
Here's the one thing the spread offense.
I'll never ever get over that play.
But here's the one thing the spread offense hurts the quarterback is because at the pro level, they're afraid of tight windows. They haven't seen them before. They run around till everything gets helter-skelter, and they got the guy wide open, and they throw it. Well, in the NFL, here's your window. Throw it. In other words, when Steve Spurrier was talking about Savell Newton, we had to tell Savell, there's the window there. Throw it. He's afraid because he sees the backs are close to the guy. He said, yeah, but if you time it and throw it, you throw the guy open.
Just like Taj Boyd against LSU, 4th and 16. He had a little tiny window to throw that ball in. Wasn't it 4th and 16?
DeAndre Hopkins, I believe, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Put that ball, as Dabo said, he put it in the window. The only place he could put it, right in the window. How's that NFL career working out for Taj, a spread quarterback in college?
Somebody needs to open that window.
Right back. We continue with Sports Talk here on a Wednesday night. By the way, K-Mac is not here if you haven't noticed. Be back with us, I think, tomorrow night. 800-956-7266 is our number. Email talkback@sportstalksc.com and on Twitter @sportstalksc. And looking at a little bit more on our Twitter feed. If you haven't signed up for Twitter, do so immediately to be able to follow us. I guess it was the ACC maybe announced it today, or the schools, Georgia Tech and Boston College. They're going to play their 2016 football game in Dublin, wee old Dublin, Ireland. Kicking off at 12:30 Ireland time, 7:30 Eastern time when they play that game over there.
I will say this. First of all, men who play on the defense and many on the offensive line should not be in a plane that long. Even NFL teams complain about being flown to Japan for that game. And normally there have been, I guess, not scientific reports, but those teams' linemen usually at the beginning of the year struggle with leg injuries. And people say, wait a minute, it's that flight to Japan. It's something about making those teams fly those big behemoths fly that far in a plane. I know that they say, well, they got charter jets, they can walk around. But still there's something about it that just doesn't seem right.
A couple of more tweets to comment on here. This is from somebody identified as a Clemson fan, CFC, Matisse Yahoo. Whatever that means. I have no idea.
Matisse Yahoo is an artist.
Oh, I'm sorry.
He has a band. I can tell you that much. I don't know if that's what he's referring to.
Is it Matisse?
Matisse Yahoo.
Oh, Matisse Yahoo.
Yeah. He's actually a Hasidic Jew from New York.
Well, that's good to know, too. Okay.
You call him the Rapping Rabbi.
Oh, that's the Rapping Rabbi. I've heard that. Heard the Rapping Rabbi, yeah.
He actually comes out in full cloth and everything.
He said that he writes here talking about the delay here of any news about Jack Leggett. He says it has to be a good thing for Leggett. D-Rad should have fired Leggett on Monday if they were going to make a change. Chuck writes in, how many times have they renovated Little John Coliseum? At what point do you build a new one? Well, this one's going to be basically new.
Yeah.
In fact, I got a picture today from Philip Sykes. He sent it to a bunch of the media guys. He's the SID for basketball, and it was a picture of the press row area in Little John, which is up in the ceiling. And he said, last thing standing inside the arena, the press row, about how many, I guess 5 or 6 rows of seats for the media. Last thing standing inside Little John. It will be practically, if not entirely, a new building. For the most
just
part.
like at Georgia Tech, that's a practical new building.
You go to Alexander Memorial Coliseum in the past, and now you go to the McCavish Pavilion there. You just, not even close to the same building. And if they do the same thing at Little John that they did at Georgia Tech, you're going to love it. You're going to love it. I went to the game there this past season, and my first time in there, and I was blown away by how beautiful that building was and how nice it was inside. You're going to love it.
Don't they do the New York Nick treat the fans are dark and they light the court?
Yeah, it's a theater lighting is what they call it. I love that too. They do it at out in Staples Center too. I think has theater lighting. The Forum used to. I think Staples Center does as well. All right, back to the phones we go. 800-956-7266. We go to Mike in Newberry, listening to us on our longtime station WKDK. Hi, Mike. Welcome into Sports Talk.
Your show, Phil, and I was thinking, y'all were talking about Johnny Manziel, and I was thinking about Connor Shaw. How's he doing in the practices? And I think he'd be a good converted quarterback also to go under center. I'll listen to your comment. Thank you.
Thank you very much. He's hanging in there. He's hanging in there. He never gets any publicity up there. They always write about the other quarterbacks up there with the Browns, but Connor's just in there, and he keeps trying to earn his spot. He did start their last game of last season against the Ravens, and Coach Mike Patine up there in Cleveland, he says, looking at the most recent story that I've seen here, Pettin, whatever. he said that Connor Shaw is still in the mix for the starting quarterback job. This was back in late April. Brian Hoyer, of course, was the quarterback, was a starter there last year. They brought in Josh McCown and Thad Lewis in the offseason. Did they draft a quarterback?
I don't think they did. Yeah, that's why they were. That's one of the things in the draft. They were moaning that Cleveland didn't even draft a quarterback.
Yeah, so he's hanging in there. He'll work harder than anybody there at that position to try to earn playing time and earn a spot on the roster.
Now, this is not a negative. I really mean this as a positive. There have been a lot of guys who have made good money in the NFL who they keep in the background, who said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to Canada and show them I can play quarterback and then come back. Could you see Connor Shaw in that wide field and those quick throws that they throw because it's only 2 downs and then you have to punt on 3rd down. And then and then if he wishes to come back, I would venture to think with his talent, he would be an all-star quarterback in the Canadian Football League right now.
Worked for Joe Theismann.
Mm-hmm.
Went to Canada, came back. Warren Moon went to Canada, came back. Anybody else come to mind?
Doug Flutie.
Well,
Doug Flutie.
He had a tremendous career in Canada, but got old, but had some serviceable years. And boy, am I going back with this one. Dieter Brock, who played with the Denver and the Rams after being a legend. I think they retired his jersey in Canada.
Wasn't there a quarterback by the name of Briscoe who was in Canada?
Marlon Briscoe.
Didn't he play in Canada and then the NFL?
I think he played Denver and then they switched into wide receiver. He played wide receiver. And then I think he went to Canada.
He went to Canada after?
I think so, yeah. Now, Doug Flutie became a god when he went to Canada.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because it was just suited his talents.
Let's see. Marlon Briscoe.
I recognize the name.
Never played in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
Played with Denver. In the late 60s with the Bills, with the Dolphins, with the Chargers, the Lions, and the Patriots in 76 was his last year. I don't see anything here about Canada for him.
Josh McCown was named the starter a couple weeks ago, by the way, going into camp.
Marlon Briscoe played his college football at Nebraska, Omaha. Did you know that?
Nope.
Did not know that. From Omaha, Nebraska, Omaha South. Actually was born in Oakland, California, in case you're wondering. So they named who?
Josh McCown, the starter.
Okay.
This is a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, I read something about that. Talked about managing the team. He's a good manager of the offense. He feels like can go in there and
paraphrasing this. The coach said he's going into camp. He'll be named the starter. He doesn't foresee that changing.
Well, I mean, and with Johnny Manziel continuing to have his issues on and he was back. He was at their OTC.
Right.
He was also in a bit of not a scuffle, but he threw a water bottle at a fan at the golf tournament, a fan that was heckling him, which, you know what? I have no problem with that. I mean, really. I have no
support violence, Corn.
If you're going to heckle a pro athlete like that, and you know how some of these people can be.
Your image is very tarnished.
And the guy, if he's got a water bottle in his hands, he wants to sling it at you.
Well,
did he hit him? That's the question, because that would prove the accuracy of his arm.
That was the spiral.
Then the question is, was it full?
And what was it full of?
I don't know.
I mean, come on. I mean, it depends on, I guess, the severity of the heckling and how personal it got and how hard it was with the guy. I mean, I know as a pro athlete or any athlete, you got to turn a deaf ear and not listen to these knuckleheads.
That's not Johnny Manziel, though.
But when you're on your own time,
go to Canada.
Of course, I guess you're never on your own time when you're a pro athlete. You always have to watch yourself. All right, thanks for your phone call. 800-956-7266. Speaking of quarterbacks, some comments from Cam Newton coming up in a moment.
Yep.
First, I would like to thank Mr. Richardson, for giving me this opportunity.
All right, late yesterday afternoon, early evening, the Panthers announced a contract extension for their quarterback, Cam Newton, to the amount of $103 million over 5 years. Made everybody involved happy, apparently, especially the quarterback. Here's some of what he had to say after getting the good news.
Thank Mr. Richardson, for giving me this opportunity. As well as Mr. Gettleman and Coach Rivera's staff, for everything that they have done up until this point. I can't state this enough, that this doesn't change anything as far as, the preparation, the goals, the dreams, the aspirations, the work ethic, anything. For me, if anything, it accelerates it and puts more drive forward. I'm so thankful for so many things, so thankful for an unbelievable supporting cast from my agents, family, friends, and loved ones that, throughout these 4 years in the NFL has given me so much to, look back and appreciate, but yet so much to yearn for and even be more hungry for. What better place than Carolina right now? I think we have a luxury of, being one of the few teams I can say that represents not only one state but two states, South Carolina and as well as North Carolina. And with this new fan club I'm hearing about, the Roaring Riot, I'm expecting big things for years to come. in the games we play this season.
What does it mean to you when your head coach and general manager believes that you're the guy that can take this franchise to the promised land?
It means a lot. It means so much, and forgive me because so much feeling is going through right now. It's not necessarily settled in for me, but for this opportunity, for so much that I've been through this past year, let alone than my whole career, and I live my life not only for myself, but also just to inspire others. For that young kid that may be looking at this interview, for that is facing adversity, there's hope. There's hope. And so many times in my life that I question, is this really what I wanted to do? Is this really, am I really good enough to play in the NFL? Am I good enough to have everything that I've dreamed for? And I can honestly say with hard work and dedication and with the unbelievable support and cash, you can get there.
What was important to you as you guys began these negotiations?
Well, first off, I didn't want to be no distraction. I think I made it clear to Mr. Gettleman as well as Coach Rivera. I didn't want it to be about me. I pay good money. I feel like that make this part easy for me. And that's my agents. Big shout out. My hat goes off to Bus Cook of Bus Cook Sports and Tony Page and Chetta Malik of Perennial Sports for making this whole process a reality now. And and we're doing that. Here we are.
About you not being a distraction, I mean, this goes back a couple years. I mean, you've never talked about your contract. As far as we know, never held out, never been. Why was that so important?
It's extremely important. It's just, for me, I'm focused. It's things that I want. It's things that I know this team has to be driven in places and without having a quarterback on site, that's going to be kind of hard. And for me, my main focus is trying to bring the Lombardi Trophy to the Carolinas by any means necessary. And with me being selfish enough and thinking about myself, that wasn't going to happen.
A lot of times, more money means more pressure. You feel any added pressure?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I think playing in the quarterback position in the NFL is enough pressure as it is. And I'm looking forward to this upcoming season.
Mr. Gettleman and Mr. Rivera both said that they want you to they feel like you can get them to the promised land. Can you get this team to the promised land?
I feel like I can get them there too as well. They're not saying anything that I don't feel about myself. And with them solidifying that, it puts more comfort, in my heart, just to know that I have, guys that's on board, that's willing to, do anything to win as well as myself.
Cam Newton, after getting that big contract extension yesterday with the Panthers, saying all the right things. Not going to change me. Not going to make me work any less. Going to keep working hard. Going to keep driving this team, pushing forward to try to get the Panthers back to the Super Bowl and win a championship. And we'll be back in a moment. All right, our final minutes tonight here on Sports Talk. It's been a busy night. We appreciate you being with us. Appreciate the phone calls here on the program. Look forward to tomorrow night already. Thursday. Tomorrow is Thursday, right?
That's correct.
This week is just, whoo, where's it gone? Where's it gone? It has flown by. We turn the corner and head down toward the end of this week. We check another week off the calendar, gets us a week closer to SEC, ACC Media Days, the start of practices, high school and college around here, and then on to the start of the football season here before we know it. Crazy thing about football, all that anticipation, then it gets here, you only have it games. Then you wonder where it went. We spend all that time waiting for it to come back. It's like a beautiful girl that winks at you. You get that?
Yeah, but I will say this. That's
poetry. That's poetic. You know, that's the 12 weeks. The 12 weeks is the wink, but you never can get your hands around it. And you have to wait all those months to get that attention again.
Sometimes the wink is better than what follows.
You ever been winked at before?
I've been actually groped before.
Okay.
So we won't even go into
by a man or a woman?
Huh? by a person of the opposite sex. I'll put it that way.
Well, I mean, today, who knows what that could mean?
You know, it's always had a meaning. Well, not just today. Not just today.
Well, I mean, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, if Bruce Jenner had groped you, it would have been something, it would have been newsworthy. Today, it would be fine and dandy because that would be the opposite sex.
What brought Bruce Jenner?
I'm sorry,
Bruce,
Caitlin.
Caitlin.
Yeah, Caitlin. I'm sorry.
Okay, yeah.
Anyway, go ahead. You were talking.
That is scary. No, I was about to say it. But the one thing about it, though, that really freaks people out in basketball, especially at the pro level, and in baseball, you can always count on maybe a few days later there's a game. In football, whether you win or lose, you either are in a state of euphoria the following week or you see people dragging into work on Monday because their team lost, and they have to carry it for that whole week until they jump back into the fray that next week. And lo and behold, please don't lose a game and then go into a bye week because now that means you suffer 2 weeks.
I hate that when the Packers lose going into their bye week. That's, you know, it takes about all of the next week and about 2 days of the following week before you can get your juices back going again and get ready for the next game. Braves lose today, 9-8 out in Arizona. Wraps up that trip out there. They had a chance for a very good West Coast trip. They ended up going 4-6 on that 10-game trip. Could have gone the other way, but they let one get away today. We'll see you tomorrow night back here on Sports Talk. Thank you, Steak Man, and thank you, Barry Larkin, Belton Honey Path, for another fine job. Have a great night, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.